Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Africa Business Heroes Application Workshop. My name is Tarisiro, and I will be your host today. Welcome to you all. Please feel free to make use of the chat. Let us know where you are joining us from. Let us know the name of your business, who you are, just so we can get to know each other a little bit more. I am the lead project manager at SACE today, and I've got a very exciting session for you today. And we're learning about the African Business Heroes competition. So I hope you are as excited as I am, and I'm joined with my colleague, Buntu Majaja, the CEO at SACE. And hopefully we're praying to the internet gods that Violet as well will be able to join us as well. She was just struggling with her connectivity. But yeah, we hope that she will be able to join us today. You can go to the next slide, please, Buntu. So just a quick look at our agenda today. We'll give you a bit of a brief overview for the Africa Business Heroes competition for those of you that are still new to it and not quite sure what the competition is about or what the program is about. And then we'll move into hopefully an ABH reflection, and then into an icebreaker, and then go into why we're here, which is the application process. What is the selection process, the benefits of applying, overview of the application, and then we'll we'll do the complete run through. Then we'll have time for Q&A and then a breakaway as well. So if you have any questions throughout the session today, please feel free to pop them into the chat. We will get to them during the Q&A session. So next slide, please, Buntu. So the question is, what is ABH? And so the Africa Business Heroes program was an initiative of the Jack Ma, or is an initiative of the Jack Ma Foundation, and it aims to support and recognize African entrepreneurs that are making an impact within the local communities. And this program and the competition provides various opportunities for finalists, including grant funding between $100,000 to $300,000. And beyond that, there is extensive media exposure as well for finalists, opportunities and training, mentorship, and you will also get to join the ABH network of industry-leading entrepreneurs from across the continent. So we're here today to help you get the best shot at becoming one of those finalists. And you can head on over to the africabusinessheroes.org to learn more about the competition, look through who the previous winners are, who the previous finalists are, just to understand what their businesses are doing, and hopefully that can inspire you to become one of the next heroes. I'm gonna ask Buntu to play the video that speaks more to what the competition is about.
Are you an African entrepreneur on a mission?
To change Africa's narrative.
To change the lives of millions.
Are you all about impact?
Impact really excites me.
Do you have a strong vision?
I believe in an Africa beyond aid.
Then it's time for you to enter Africa's Business Heroes, an opportunity to develop your skills and connect with an ecosystem of like-minded entrepreneurs. With world-class mentorship,
to go as far as you can,
training and feedback, you'll learn more about your business, a bit about yourself,
that's my heartbeat,
and gain global recognition as you tell your story, pitch to business legends, and compete for a share of the $1.5 million prize.
It's an opportunity for African entrepreneurs to shine and to impact.
It's time to visit our social media channels and website and enter Africa's Business Heroes. It's African time.
Great, thanks, Buntu. And that's exactly it. It's African time, and that is the theme of the African Business Years over the last 2 years. And it really is, and our biggest passion here as well, even at the SA Innovation Summit, is it's all about Africans and creating and creating solutions that are impactful to communities by Africans for Africans. So we're really glad that you can join us here today. I won't take up any more time. I just want to check with my team if Violet's been able to join us. And it doesn't look like she has. We were really, really excited to have her. Violet was one of the top 10 finalists from last year's competition. So as Buntu says, yeah, let's break the ice. So I'm going to quickly run a poll just so we can get a understanding of where you're joining us from. So thank you so much all for introducing yourselves. I see we've got a lot of people joining us from South Africa, from Joburg, quite a few from Southern Africa. I'm just quickly scrolling through them here. I'm going to quickly run a poll as well here. Will pop up on your screen. Just let us know where you are joining from, which part of Africa are you joining us from. Okay, so majority of our attendees today are from Southern Africa, and we've got a few from East Africa as well. So welcome to you all, and thank you so much for joining us. And then I'm gonna go and run next one, just to also gain an understanding of where you are in the application process. Let us know, have you started your application? No, if you haven't, it's okay. We can start it today. Yes. And then for those of you that are almost complete, let us know. Okay, perfect. So we've got quite a few newbies here. So we are starting the process today, and we are starting the applications today. So that's good to know, and this is why we are here. We're here to help you through that application. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time here. I won't take any more of your time. I'll hand over to my colleague Buntu, who is the CEO at the SA Innovation Summit, one of the ABH partners. And he is going to take us through the selection process. See, there's some questions already in the chat about in terms of criteria. So he will walk us through the entire process from the criteria right to the very end when we click submit. So thank you so much, Buntu.
Thank you, Tari. It's excellent to always see the passion and the solutions that are inspiring, to see the hard work that all the entrepreneurs are doing around the continent. In our session today, I want to take us through the application, and I hope that the internet gods will certainly be on our side at some point, if we keep checking on Violet, if she is able to join, because I think it's really fantastic if you would be able to hear from Africa business heroes themselves on what they have experienced, what they've benefited, and their own tips for you to make the most of this. And I want us really today to have a discussion and to be open, really be practical. I want to cover an overview of the key questions, but there's many questions, and you may have started already and be looking at them, and you want to bring them up. Really welcoming you to post those in the chat, to ask about them when we have our open Q&A time, as well as in our breakaways. We're here to ensure that the part where you stuck on, the part where you're concerned about, are we able to address that? And trust me, if you're stuck on that part or it's not so clear, you're not the only one. And there'll be many others that will benefit from us having that discussion. So without further ado, let's really go in here, and feel free, Tari, at any point, if Violet does jump in, I'm happy to take a pause, and then we can go back to her section. Super. So let's look here at, firstly, who is it that ABH is looking for? There's an eligibility criteria from what is the minimum requirements that you should be covering. And these would include things like you are either the founder or the co-founder of the company. This will be asked in the beginning, so it can't be the business development manager or the chairperson, for example, who will be going through this program. And sometimes it was asked how many people should be going through, how many people can apply, and it's only one founder or co-founder from the organization who will be represented. So you can have as many co-founders as you want, but only one will go through the program. And the the applicant has to be of African origin. So this means that you yourself have citizenship in an African country, or additionally, including your parent or your grandparents have African citizenship. This will qualify you as being of African origin. And also, your company needs to be based on the African continent. These days, we hear that there's 10 or 11 African unicorns, depending on how you count, how much of their revenues is coming from Africa, their operations are from Africa, the founders are from Africa, and etc. And so the more African the African business hero is, and the organization is, the more it speaks to the mission of telling African stories. So it means that your organization has to be registered in an African country and primarily operating within an African jurisdiction. That means most of your employees, most of your revenue, as well as the majority of your client base should be coming in and operating from and assets, etc., in an African country. And then it also means that you are ready for growth. You are post-revenue. You have at least 3 years of revenue that you've developed and gained. This doesn't have to be consecutive years of revenue, but it can be over 5 or 10 years that you have been operating, at least for 3 years. And these are really the basic minimum things that will qualify you to be who ABH is looking for. But beyond that is then how we define the hero and who it is that we want. In this case, it's really about taking an inspirational story and an important work that you're doing and presenting it to the African continent and the world to inspire the next generation. So you want to come across in your application as someone who's passionate about what you do, someone who's driven by a mission, driven by purpose. And the way that you're doing this is innovative, and it's changing the lives of communities around you and across the continent, which means that really you are not only doing this now, but you see yourself doing this at scale and at a much more larger and impactful, transformational way in the future. And ABH is then looking you to use the application in order to take this across, to send this across to the judges. One of the previous finalists, Gourmet Abraham from AppTech Africa, really sees this as that ABH is looking for a hero, and it is about you being the hero and your business being a hero, and that your job is to let ABH know about the business, and ABH will actually show you how incredible the work that you're doing and how much of the hero you are that you may never knew that you were. So if we look at if you think this is you, right? If you see this resonates with you, you meet these criteria, and you are someone that is bold, passionate, and the ABH, the Africa Business Hero that we are looking for, then you will start applying. If you have not already, I recommend that you start today. It is quite a process, and the application is only the beginning. The application will be open until the 6th of June. Post that, it will then close. Once it's closed, there will be thousands and thousands of applications that are screened from across the continent automatically to figure out the basic criteria have been met. So if there are things that haven't been filled out, things that weren't uploaded, and an application that essentially wasn't complete or does not meet the criteria, such as being an African founder of African origin and you're based in Africa, these will be cut out automatically. So please ensure that as you're going through the program, relook at these, and ensure that you are finalized way before that closing of the application date. Thereafter, you will then go into a round one judging. And in this round one judging is where there will be a group of judges that are selected to be best fit to look at your business that will do an online review. That means that they are looking at the application itself, reading through this and ensuring that it meets the criteria, and whatever is impressive, they will then score this accordingly. And a good way to think about what is important and how to best score accordingly will be covered in our application overview today and in future. But once you cover this round, you will then go to round two, where you'll be scheduled for a video call, because we have now selected from the thousands into the top 50. These top 50 will go into a video call with industry leaders and industry titans who will interview you, essentially grilling you on everything that you have put in your application and more, to really put to the test whether is this the African business hero that we want to take to the next rounds. And in the next rounds is then a further screening via due diligence. And that is essentially to ensure that everything that you've said and in your application and in your interviews is as such and can be audited. Very important for us to portray an African business hero that the entire community, the entire African Business Hero organization, the Jack Ma Foundation, and all the partners involved can stand behind, knowing that this is audited. Thereafter, those that pass the auditing, they will then move into the semi-finale. And in here is a top 20 that has been selected that will pitch to our judges. And these are industry leaders. Once again, it will be a group of 5 to 7 judges that are running large and leading organizations across the continent with many years of experience in building businesses on the continent. And they will select the top 10 who will go on to win a share of $1.5 million. Now, as you're going through the application, you might be wondering, what are the things that I need to look out for if I get stuck, or how can I make the best of this opportunity to position my business well? And there's a few tips that you want to look out for and already consider from the beginning. Firstly is that it is a generally lengthy application. It's got about 6 sections, and it is in-depth and relatively difficult to portray your business across properly. So you need to look at it again and again. This being said, you don't have to go online and do it all at once. You can go online, you do part of it, you go off, you go online, you do part of it, you come back, you iterate, you brainstorm with your team, and you complete it on the go. But it means that you should start immediately. Secondly, if you want to work on it offline, there is an offline version that you can download from the website, and an application form that is duplicated and replicated as per the online application form. It's got the examples, it's got the tips that you can use to draft your questions. However, you will then need to go back to the online application in order to fill in those responses and upload the relevant files that you need to do so. And there are mandatory questions throughout the application. These must be filled in. If the deadline comes and these are not filled in, unfortunately, your application will be discarded and you will be disqualified. However, we are here at any point, if you get stuck on these, to ask for help. There are examples and tips throughout the program, throughout the application form that you can draw down and use those to give you some context. And the ABH team is available to respond and support you as well. Truly, truly leverage this, as there is a French version of the application form as well. And when you reach out in French, you can also get support in French. And lastly is the deadline. Can't repeat this enough. 6th of June. Can't tell you how many times there are last minute submissions that end up being great applicants, but just did not make it in time for one reason or the other. And this can then make you look at next year to apply. So these are just some of the things that you want to keep in mind. Do look out of that live chat in the bottom right of the corner. We are here to support you. And very important as well is get inspired, get into the mind of what is it that ABH is looking for by going through the content. ABH is not only a competition to identify heroes that are then invested in through grants, through mentorship, and through training and access to resources, but it is also a platform to tell the story of not only the African hero, but also your business. And many of the entrepreneurs that have gone through have benefited on being on platforms such as CNBC Africa and other large mass media platforms in radio and TV on the continent, including DSTV, where your business is showcased. So there is content that you can watch to get a deeper understanding of what is the essence that you need to connect to and the fit to become a business hero. In addition to this is an award-winning documentary that I definitely recommend that you take a look at. It covers many of the previous finalists that have gone through ABH, and many tips there that can support you as well in your application. Consider it as inspiration. Now, if we are looking at the overview of the application, it's made up of 6 components. Today, we're going to cover 4 of them and touch on the last one, which is video introductions, but we won't be really focusing on that one. The ones that we want to deep dive into, and I want to beg of you to bring in your questions, is our founder profile. How do you best position yourself here? The business profile as an overview. How best do you introduce your business? And then how do you lay it down in terms of what your business is doing in the business deep dive section? However, any of these points you want to discuss, please throw them in the chat. Happy to go over them. If you're stuck on any of them, happy to get into those as well in the breakaway section. So let's start with the first, which is when you are introducing yourself as the founder. You would have gone through the eligibility check, which would have been looking at whether you qualify as a basic on this. And then you would have been going through the references, which you need to prepare references around your credit status and criminal convictions, etc. And then you'll go through your founder profile. And this is straightforward. It's really about your name and surname and things that you do. However, you will then start looking at your founder profile to understand a little bit more about your story and your background and what is it that drove you to be an entrepreneur. And this is the first glance where the judges will start to get a sense of who you are and why your business matters and why your story matters. It's very important here that when you are telling your story, asking you to describe yourself, to be clear, be concise. There are word counts to guide how much scope to include in your response. So ensure that you do practice and review and iterate your responses such that they fit into this word count. Otherwise, the application won't take it. And it's not a very easy thing to do it in 100 words, i.e. tell your story. And so you want to ensure that you capture the core, the essence, and the authenticity of who you are. And it continues to ask the motivation for you to become an entrepreneur. And what's important here is that there is an essence that is inseparable from who you are as a person and your identity. So you want to touch on a personal story. You want to share something that you've experienced yourself or something that you have seen in your community. Previous examples of this would include businesses that were solving issues where old age communities in one's country doesn't have access to medical care because there isn't enough doctors and it's too far and expensive to travel. And this entrepreneur started their business because they saw in their own community someone suffering from this and a family member as well suffering from this. And they then set out, because they themselves are a doctor and understand the industry, to build an innovative solution around it. So you want to connect who you are, the thing that positions you well as the solution provider, as well as what was the personal experience that you saw and felt around this as an observation or an experience itself. And then you will have to connect this to why it matters at this point for you to apply for the African Business Heroes Prize. And there's a connection here that you have to make to show that your story is what ABH is looking for, and that you understand the key values of resilience, innovation, being bold, and being passionate that ABH has, and that these align with who you are. Then you want to touch on how this opportunity can impact your business and what change it will make to your beneficiaries, your employees, and your customers if you were to become an ABH hero, an Africa Business Heroes finalist. So some good examples here would include things such as being a doctor, building on the example I've shared, being a doctor who has the experience as well as the qualifications to solve and navigate the tricky medical industry in my country. I have been able to use my experience to develop an innovative solution that has the potential to solve over 200 million potential cases across the continent that are experiencing a similar issue. And so here you are showing that you care about the impact, you're showing that you care about scale and that you're being bold, but at the same time, you are the right person to do it. And so that is what the founder profile relatively at core is looking for. There are other areas that you want to fill in and prepare, such as links to your social media and also any achievements that you might have had and won as an entrepreneur. Once you've gone through this, you will then start to introduce your business. And in a similar sense, this is the beginning of when the judges are starting to get a sense of what your business is. This is the introduction and the first impression of when the judges are getting to know your business. So first impressions count, and you want to make the most of it. And we ask you to do this through an elevator pitch. Now, for those of you that may not know what an elevator pitch is, it is really imagining that if you were in an elevator with someone, and this happens with time, whether you're in an elevator or you are passing them by in a conference or an event, and you have just 30 seconds or a minute to let them know who you are, what your business does, and why they should pay attention and why it matters for them. This is what you use, your elevator pitch. And so there are very key things that you want to cover, but not berate on for a long time, to keep it within the allocated time of 30 seconds to a minute. In the application, you will have 100 words to put across what your company does and why it exists, in terms of what is the opportunity that you see, what is the problem that you are solving, and what you see and what's inspiring about it, what's the change that you want to see, and essentially how you're currently making income, who you work with, what's the business model, how lucrative is it growing, and so far, what have you done? What have you been able to achieve that will make the judge look at the rest of your application in good favor? It really matters. Once they see this, that this is a positive start to the application, when they're looking at the other elements, although impartial, absolutely, it does leave a good first impression. So good responses and examples to this are things such as you are a social enterprise that is committed to eradicating water scarcity by providing appropriate technologies to durable access to water, and that you are currently pioneering a process, a methodology, an innovation, whatever the product name is, such that you can reclaim broken boreholes, transform into the state-of-art solar-powered kiosks. And this is really looking now at your product. And then you sell the water at $1 per 1,000 liters, and you're creating jobs. So the impact for farms, of the farms for the youth and the farmers. And currently you employ 62 million people and allow for 50,000 people to access your water annually. And this is giving scale, it's giving impact, it's giving what your product does, and that there's a business case here to make it sustainable. And if cracked, given the right amount of funding and support, can transform your industry. This is what the judges are really looking for in this elevator pitch. Now, as you continue within this section, you will need to start connecting who you are as a founder, who you are as an entrepreneur, and as a person, as you've introduced in the beginning, what your business stands for. And this is an ongoing thing that I will mention today, is that there has to be a thread, a golden thread between who you are as a founder, what the business stands for, and how you are implementing these things. So you are asked briefly to expand further on your business story, to talk about what is your vision, what is your mission, and what are your core values. And when it comes to your vision, you need to be bold, think big, think scale, think transforming the landscape. You want to talk about What is it that you see as the ideal future that is necessary in order for this problem that you are tackling to be solved? What does that ideal scenario, that world, that community look like? Not only in terms of how it visually looks, but what is the impact it has on people? What is the impact it has on economic development or even the health and well-being of communities? So you really want to be thinking broad scale here at a continental level and even global level. And then you want to go into, so an example for this is Mukuru stoves, which develops biodegradable fuel for households, is that they see a vision where all households in Africa are eradicated of air pollution. And so their vision is to eradicate household air pollution across the continent. And then how do you do this? What is the mission? Still at a broad key level. Now, the vision is really something that you see, and the mission is how you see yourself doing this. And here you'll notice that there is a typo there, but I will give you a different example here on how you would be addressing this. But in terms of the mission is then talking about based on this vision, currently, what's the work that you are doing to meet that? So in the case of Mukuru Clean Stoves, they are providing biodegradable fuel using natural resources in order to sell them to low-income communities and villages across the continent efficiently. So their mission is to develop these, sell them, and transport them or deliver them into the difficult to provide areas. So to provide access to biodegradable fuels that do not cause smoke and air pollution. And these two things really need to be connected in terms of where you see the business going and how you plan to get there. And then the core values are the ingredients that you believe are important for you as a business to hold in order to achieve this. And this can be a list of a couple words and sentences that connect to your mission and vision, but also connect to what is ABH looking for and who you are as a founder, an entrepreneur, and as an individual. So examples of core values might include things like being customer-centric, being full of integrity and doing good business, teamwork, collaborating, working with your community, collaborating with partners, etc. Being innovative, other examples of core values that you hold, being a team player or teamwork, and also being resilient in terms of grit, knowing that you guys knock down doors, and no matter how many doors close on you, you're going to keep on knocking on those doors. So really try here to be clear, try to be concise, be very specific, and think about the judges and which perspective they are looking at these from. And then we'll move on here from the overview of the business profile. And once the judges are satisfied and they like more or less what you're doing, they're then going to want to start looking under the hood. They're going to want to start looking under the bonnet and saying, what is it that drives this business? And how is it that this business continues to thrive? And the very first thing that you will have on your slide in your application is to convey why the business exists and the problem that you are solving. And so what is it that the problem your business is tackling? And you have about 150 words to put this across. And I know you're doing a lot. It's not very easy, but there are all sorts of resources that you can look at and you can find that help you to isolate the root cause, and how this root cause impacts your community, impacts your customers, and who it's impacting. And these are some of the things that you want to ensure that come across. You want to clearly ensure that you are showing a deep understanding of your market and the scale of this problem. You want to ensure that you are putting across the root pain point, the key pain point, not the side effect or the resultant effect of this root cause. And so looking up things on how to write business problem statements can be very helpful frameworks to use. If you are not using figures in terms of statistics and you're referencing those, if you are not being specific around the details or core aspects of the problem, and also if you're not showing how this opportunity connects to or this problem connects to a market opportunity in terms of the potential scale and the potential market, then this will make your response quite weak. So a good example of this is, once again, you'll find some good tips, you'll find good examples on the application form, but imagine that you are in the agriculture space and you are doing cold chain solutions on this. You might have said something like, in 2015, you started a vegetable farm and you saw that you lost 40% of harvest because, once again, the details there, being very specific on lessons that you've learned and showing that you validated this problem because of a poor cold chain. And once you've experienced this, you then also discovered that actually across the value chain, 35% of food is lost, and there's other crops and vegetables that are wasted, which results in a total of 70% in losses. And this loss, considering food security, is impacting lives across sub-Saharan Africa, where there is over 200 million undernourished people in the region. And because there's a lack of cold chain systems across various sectors, which include healthcare, it includes food, and it may include other areas as well, you sought to solve this problem. And then you can reference some reputable references that might say something like, the UN suggests that there will be 20 million lives saved this year by vaccines in Africa. And 1 out of 5 of infants don't have vaccine because so many vaccines need to be transferred and transported in cold chains. And so the lack of this cold chain infrastructure is also impacting healthcare across the continent. And there's your problem. You've given numbers, you've given a reputable source, you've showed how this connects to a potential market and even how it's impacted you personally. And thereafter, you want to continue to then explain how you yourself are actually solving this problem. You want to show very clearly how you're being innovative and how your solution works. You want to show that there's a direct link between everything you've mentioned in the problem, as well as everything that you are doing as a business daily in order to meet that. And you may not be perfect. You may still be iterating, and there's still a lot of things to figure out. That's perfectly fine. The point is to show that you understand, that you know the unknowns. The issue is when there are too many unknown unknowns that come across in your application. But if you say, these are the things that we know, these are the things that we've proven, and these are the things that we want to prove, we think that they do connect to the problem and we're working on, then this will put across a strong case. But if you don't show things like how this solution and your product and the way that you do things is solving the problem, the lives that you've mentioned, the impact mentioned, if you are too focused on jargon around your industry, the technicalities of the technology, and you really go into these things, and most people outside of the industry may not care to know, or are more of features instead of benefits, then this will weaken your response. So you want to focus on the benefits, you want to connect those benefits to the problem, and you want to show how you want to do this at scale and how it does so in impact. So if we build on our example, you might say something like, you've developed a battery pack that is mobile and can keep things cold. So it can keep products, food, and so on cold. And it uses solar power, so it can also be off-grid. And you can fit this onto a boat, onto a motorbike, or a truck, which are many of the logistics and transport modes on the continent that can provide access to the difficult to reach areas and where it's most needed. And this technology also leverages digital communications as well as IoT, or Internet of Things, in order to communicate the safety of the cold transported products. And all of this is sent back through your hardware and your software that you develop and manage for your clients. So these are very specific, connected things to the problem. It covered the people that is involved, it covered the core problem, and also how this might be solved in a practical way that you're doing it. Very straightforward and simple. You might want to include things like the change that you're doing, so you can keep it at 8 degrees for a certain number of hours, and this will reduce food losses by 50%. So the impact in numbers as well can strengthen your application. And as we move on, so what we've done now is to understand what's the problem and what are you doing to solve it. But is there a business around this? Is there a market opportunity that will make this sustainable and over time become a scalable business? And in order to respond to this, you would have to cover what is the market dynamics. How big is the market and where are you starting? And so in this sense, you want to start looking at things like the total available market, known otherwise as total addressable market, known otherwise as the TAM. And this really takes into a scenario where if you had no competitors, and you had all the resources in the world in order to solve everyone's problem who's facing this at the price point that is currently feasible, how much would that be? And so you could do this from a top-down perspective or a bottom-up perspective, where you use all the numbers such as shared before and how much the pricing would be like. Or you can look at some of the reputable statistics from around the world that are watching your market. What is the medical industry size in Africa or globally in Africa, and so on? And you'll decide what is the total addressable market that you are looking for. Now, there are published figures that you can look out for. There are multiplications and formulas that you might want to do. These are good tips to try out. And this will really show the largest that your business can be. This gets the judge's attention because it shows potential. If this is small, it's going to be a problem, because then it means that there might not be a scalable solution here. There might not be a big enough opportunity for the economics to work. So it has to be huge. It has to be transformative. But that's not where you are operating now. It shows that you are thinking big and that you are a visionary. You then have to connect this down to where are you going to start? And so what's your service obtainable market? In other words, how do you start sectioning this total addressable market? Start considering the constraints that you have in terms of geography, in terms of potential resources, in terms of language and market barriers, whether these are regulatory and so on. And so you might start putting these together and say, even though there's a total addressable market of so much, we think that the service obtainable market, so what is now the market share of the TAM that you want to access. And here you want to start thinking about what's the region, the geographic region. Is it East Africa? Are you focusing on English speaking or French speaking countries? Do you think that there's limitations in terms of whether this is mostly for of people in cities or people in rural areas and so on. And of course, you might expand and this will change. However, you want to indicate to the judges that you've thought through the market dynamics and the implications thereof. And then you'll even go even further in terms of what is the SAM. This is your serviceable addressable market. And this is really where you are starting now and where you are operating. You want to then start talking about this here as well. So good examples of this might be something along the lines of out of the total addressable market across the continent of $2 billion within the medical industry, we want to, the logistics and cold chain industry, we want to focus particularly on the food chain, which is within East Africa, where we are currently based. And so this then becomes $120 million market within the next 3 years or within the next 5 years or whatever that timeline would be. But you already start shrinking down in terms of what's feasible for you. And then you might want to go a step further by saying that within Kenya alone, there is the percentage of the GDP is $20 million of logistics, and for agriculture, it's $10 million or $15 million, and we believe that we can capture half of this within the next 2 years, and this is where we are starting. So you're using reputable stats, you're using very specific details and so on. And then you might be wanting to look at market dynamics as well in terms of how fast is it growing, and what are the figures that are backed by logical assumptions, things that you've learned in the market, as well as reputable sources. And that's where you're really looking at the various things around your market, but the deep dive will go on further to try to understand how your competitors look like and whether you understand your competitors. So you want to overlay here the landscape that you're competing in and that you're operating in. And it will connect to your market, because if you are focusing on East Africa, then your competitors are in East Africa. Focusing in Kenya, your competitors in Kenya. So once again, reiterating that there is a golden thread that will go across your application from the beginning, connecting to your vision, to your resilience, connecting to your mission and your vision, your market, and cascading down to where your competitors are operating, and why that matters for you. And so in this case, for your competitors, the things that will make this response very clear and powerful is not to make it seem as though you will easily defeat your competitors, that you are underestimating them. You need to respect and understand their strengths, You need to show that you understand where they pose risks to you as a business. And then you also need to show that you understand their weaknesses and how your solution is different from what they are producing and fills up the gaps that are left over by their weaknesses. If you are vague, you don't name specific organizations, you don't name specific features and benefits of their products versus yours, and you don't show that what you are doing is truly unique, this will make your response weak. So ensure that you reflect on these, because you will then need to build out the difference between what your competitors are doing and what you're doing. So, you know, an example of this that you might want to look at might be something along the lines of, for example, Flutterwave, which is one of the biggest startups on the continent in the fintech space. And they competing really with Visa and MasterCard, right? So they might say something like their main competitors, Visa and MasterCard, which are the main payment railways around the world. However, they do not provide they do not provide access in some African countries, and because of the multiple jurisdictions in Africa, they have a high cost of operating, which leads to larger fees. We are an African organization that is able to cut fees by working with local partners and offer our customers access into markets that they would not be able to access and get payment out of, and so on. They are now showing that this is actually something that will be very difficult for their competitors to do, because they are on the ground here on the continent, and that this is where they are unique. And then you might want to go into some stats, such as we are 50% cheaper, and we're able to respond to our customers' needs the fastest, as we've won for the last 3 years best customer service financial services provider in Nigeria. And these would be things that then further reinforce why you're unique and that you have actually been adding value to the market. And you'll further have to go down to then touch out, you know, we're almost there though in terms of our application here. In terms of your unit economics and how you make money, this is really around your business model. You want to break out who your customers are. Is it B2C or is it B2B? Is it enterprises or is it communities? Is it people? And how much it costs you to deliver to them and to solve their problem. So really showing here unit economics and where the profit margins are for you will strengthen your response. You might be talking, for example, if you're an airline, you might be saying you wanna shoot. So talking about unit economics not only shows that there's a business model here, but it also shows that you understand where the constraints are for the growth of your business and for the potential of your business, and that if you are able to work around this unit and this constraint, you'll be able to and with the right resources, the right team and funding, you'll be able to crack this problem. And so in this sense, if you are, for example, in the water space, you might be saying that you are bringing affordable water to schools and low-income communities, and your business model is twofold. One is through a tap and drink for urban communities, where you can provide water 70% cheaper than bottled water, which is at $0.2 per liter, or tap and drink for schools, where you are able to allow a subscription fee where schools can pay $2 fee per term that will give them unlimited access to water. So here you are showing who's your core customer, showing how much it costs you or how much you're selling to them, and that you can actually scale this number. And really want to move along here to highlight that we've spoken about the risks. We've spoken about the market. We've spoken about how the market is changing, the solution, and also how you're making money and how your business is sustainable. But the judges also want to understand that that there are risks involved, and you want to highlight these risks, not only highlighting how they may impact on the core things. You don't want to be saying that it will slow down necessarily. It will impact like on your brand or employee morale or something like that. You want to connect it to the core problem. You want to show that these 2 or 3 risks, the main risks, that you are aware of them and you're doing something about them. So you understand the risks and you want to include mitigating factors that you're working on as well. And once you've shown your understanding of the risks and how you want to mitigate them, you will then be showing how you are going to be growing this business. And once again, going back to connecting to your vision. Now that they've looked under the hood, the judges have looked under the hood and they understand the various working mechanics, they want to go back, take a step back again and see how this connects to the broader vision of what you are trying to achieve. And so here you want to be specific. You want to outline very specific aspects in terms of the milestones. So if you talk about things like milestones in your growth, if you talk about things like such as how the numbers that you've used already, so in terms of the market numbers, how much of this you would have captured for each milestone, how much revenue you believe you would have raised, and how many lives you would have impacted. This will give the judges confidence that you have thought through the potential roadmap towards a sustainable and scalable business. So really try to be specific here, use revenue, and all figures, by the way, must be in dollars. There's resources online that you can use to convert, of course. And you want to show how the broader vision breaks down into annual goals and then potentially into quarterly goals. And these are the key things that you want to cover in terms of where do you see your business in the next 3 years. And so you might be talking about the market you would want to achieve and the revenue you'd be wanting to make, as well as the service, the number of customers you would be servicing. But how are you going to do this? In 150 words, how will you scale your business? What will you do in terms of accessing these potential markets? So examples of this might include things such as you'll partner with core banks in each country in order to access their market base and complement their existing services, which has a potential of 300 million in West Africa alone, or in East Africa alone, for example. Or you might say things such as addressing the risks that you've mentioned. So maybe a key risk might be regulation changes in your country. And so part of your strategy to achieve this plan will be to work with the government in order to set regulatory terms within the financial space that allow for fintech providers to make a better, for fintech providers to grow better. And so these are really some of the things that you want to think about in your strategy, and in terms of how you will be achieving your growth path. And as much as would love to continue sharing and talking, I'm more open to hearing what are the things that you are asking, what are the things that are on your minds and what you'd like us to clarify And so for this, I'm going to hand back over to Tarisiro with many thanks to take us through our Q&A.
Great, thank you so much, Buntu. I think we really went in depth and in detail, and I think that's really, really useful and has been useful for all of us. Like to hope. There are a few questions. I'm just going to bring them up quickly. That have popped up in the chat. The first one here is, is there a targeted threshold for the generated revenue? What if you've generated revenue for less than 2 years?
Super, thanks for the question. Fortunately, there isn't a targeted minimum revenue. This would not be the core that ABH is looking for, because the industries are different in terms of potential revenue, how lucrative they are, and so on. What is very important is that there is stability and robustness in your revenue. So it has to be at least for 3 years. Something like 95% of businesses fail within the first 3 years and 99% between the first 5 years. So if you have been earning revenue for at least 3 years, it shows that you've figured out a number of things and that you have a higher probability of making it to the next stage. And so in this case, you want to have a robust, show that you have been earning revenue and robustly, and that it has been at least for 3 years. Tahira, I don't know if you'd like to add anything on that, but in terms of minimum numbers, or is that aligned in your view as well?
No, you spot on, Buntu. The only thing that I would add is the current mandate is ABH will be running until 2029. So if you aren't eligible at the moment, we do encourage you to apply at a later stage once you have generated the minimum 3 years of revenue.
An excellent point. Thank you.
Thanks, Buntu. Thanks, Tahira. I've got another question here. I think just for the benefit of the audience, as well, I think this has been answered, and which is, are pre-revenue companies eligible to apply?
Thanks for that. And so to clarify, we are looking for applicants that are ready to scale and grow. And so if you are not yet recording revenue, we encourage that you look at further opportunities down the line, as the program will be around until 2029, when you have earned 3 years of revenue.
Great, thanks. I don't know if anyone in the audience has got any other questions. You are welcome to raise your hand or pop the question in the chat. If there's anything specific, I'm just quickly double checking here if there's anything that we haven't. Yes, got a question from Anthony. Anthony, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you. Sorry, thank you very much for the detailed session. I really enjoyed this. And the only question I had, of course, is with maybe the guys that have now gotten into 1 or 2 countries. Say you now registered South Africa, registered in Mozambique. What would we be able to apply from those 2 countries? Which I'm trying to understand which country would you want to align with, or can you do both?
So ABH is Pan-African, so the country that you apply from doesn't really matter. Just pick where your operations are the strongest and have had the 3 years of revenue, and then also just be consistent with what you present. So if you present for like your entire portfolio, make sure that's what's in your application. Yep. That's what you're going to present to the judges, whichever, or if you like choose South Africa, for example, just make sure everything is for South Africa.
Thank you very much.
Anthony, for the question. Good to see you. All the best.
Thanks Tahira for answering that question. Just checking here. Okay, I don't think, I'm not sure if we've got any other questions here. I'm just checking the ones from the registrations, and they're all pretty much aligned to the same thing of what is the eligibility criteria, which Buntu's touched on in depth. And then, yeah, it's pretty much criteria, whether or not pre-revenue companies can apply. And I don't have any more questions from the chat here. I don't know if anybody else in the audience, we still have a few more minutes for any general questions. Yes, Moira, your hand is up.
I just wanted to find out about the presentation recording. I've obviously been taking notes, but some of the examples you've given are very helpful. Would you be able to email that out to us at all?
Yes, I will. So I will share the recording and the presentation as soon as those are available to you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much for a really great presentation today.
Perfect. Thanks, Moira. Muso?
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much again. I just wanted to know, seeing that my pro-letter company is not eligible, boohoo, I wanted to know, is there any additional platforms or accelerator programs or something that could help fast track sort of the process of us, being a revenue generating company? Because like I said, we've got POCs and all of these nice shiny things. However, we need to get to the stage of actually generating profits. I don't know if there's other programs either with the SA Innovation Summit or ABH that I can look into, just to help best maximize on the resources you guys have available until, we get that 3-year revenue generating position.
Yes, so you can look at, so the SA Innovation Summit has got the Tech Tribe Accelerator. So you can find that www.techtribeaccelerator.com. And that's an accelerator. So that's an acceleration program that will help you, I suppose, kind of define and narrow down where your product is, and then help you to help you become, so one of the programs is helping you become investment ready in the long run, and then also helping you work out, the commercialization part of it. There's also commercialization course in there as well. So you can just have a look on the website, and then if you have any troubles, you can also just email us there, and then we can assist.
Awesome, thank you. I just saw Buntu share the link in the chat group. We'll be definitely checking it out. And yeah, thank you for your time, guys. Enjoy. Good luck to everyone who will be applying.
Well, thanks.
Thank you, Muso. Hi, everyone. Hi, Tari. Hi, Buntu. Hi, all. Can you hear me?
Hi, Marie.
Hi, sorry if I missed the link for the application. I'm not seeing it in my emails. Will you please send it to us after the presentation?
Yes, I will do so after this.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to add something to that previous question, if that's okay, Terry. Super. Thanks for that question. I also want to emphasize that even though you may not, so 2 things. Firstly, even though you may not qualify, I'd highly recommend that you give the application a shot. It's a really powerful resource to help you think about what are the things that you need to work on that will help you to become eligible in the future. And if you are able to answer many of these questions, whether that's now or you work on them, if you can't answer them, that will be key business principles and operational opportunities and ideas that will help you to run your business better. So want to encourage you to take it a jab and respond. And secondly, stay in touch with us here at ABH, because we do provide community workshops. We also provide an annual ABH summit And here there's leading experts from around the world and across the continent that will come in and share their experiences. And many of these are opportunities to learn as well, and even to network. And as you know, the networking is the thing that will help you to open doors. So I want to encourage you to connect with us at the S Innovation Summit. We also have networking opportunities at ABH. Apply on the application form, and also keep in touch via social media. Join the LinkedIn group on ABH. There's lots of resources being shared there as well, and people to network with that will help you grow your business.
Perfect, thanks. I'm not sure if we've got any other questions from the audience. Yes, Musa, I see your hand is up again.
Sorry, last question. I swear, last question. So the ABH application or competition, is that different from something I may have seen on the timeline, on the SA Innovation timeline, the Garage Innovation Competition? Is that a separate thing?
Yes, that's separate. So yeah, so that's run by the SA Innovation Summit independently, yes.
All right, okay, cool, awesome, thank you.
Okay, great. I don't think we've got any more questions. Yeah, I'll hand over back to you, Buntu.
But thanks, Tari. Really to let you guys know that if you do get stuck, get in touch with us. We're here to support. You can download the application, you can save it, you don't have to do it at one time. There are FAQs on the website. Link is in the chat. That's africabusinessheroes.org, www.africabusinessheroes.org. You'll find there the registration link. You'll also find FAQs and application guidelines, as well as previous content in terms of finalists and the documentaries, and these will be helpful. You can also contact on the live chat. This one is available 7 a.m. GMT till 5 p.m. GMT during the week, and you can email as well at on info@africabusinessheroes.org, or WhatsApp us on +254 793 265 919. Once again, you'll be able to find these online, and also on this document will be shared with you. Now, as you are progressing through your application, if it does not get a green tick, it means that it's not complete. It means that there might be something missing, something didn't upload properly. So go back, take a look at this, and if at all you're stuck, if you're uploading something and then it doesn't show the green mark, simply refresh and try again. And if it persists, you may contact us on these contact details shared here. And so that's all I want to remind you on, and please do keep in touch. We will stay on our social media. There are French sessions that are coming in as well, and other application workshops that are coming in the future, where you will be able to get further support as you progress. Tari, yes, Tahira, I see you've got a...
Thanks, Buntu. I just want to add, we currently have a early bird competition at ABH. So if you manage to complete your application before Sunday, then you will be entered to win a 1-hour one-on-one mentor session with one of our former top 10. There's also some exclusive ABH merchandise that we're going to be giving away. And you can go back into your application and make edits. So if you complete it now, you have like a first stab, submit it for the early bird deadline. You can still edit it until the 6th of June. You just log back into the same account and you can tweak anything, rework it, have mentors and friends, colleagues look at it just to make sure that your application is top notch. So we do encourage, start early, try finish early so you can go back, rework it with a fresh mind, and you put your best foot forward.
But thanks so much, Tahira. I'll hand back over to you then, Tarisiru, for our breakaways, if there are any.
Cool. Thank you so much, Buntu, and thanks to Hira for that information. It's good to know that so there is something to look forward to, and definitely an incentive there to complete the application early. Like I said, if we haven't started now, which was majority of you, then you can definitely start today. And Buntu's provided all the information. If you need any support from us, from the ABH team, we are all here to help you through it. And as mentioned, I will share the presentation with you all, and the recording as well once available. I'll also then share as well the link to the application form following this in an email following this as well, so that you can get going with your application. So now we will go into a breakaway our session here today. So thank you very much for joining us. If there are any pertinent questions or specific questions that you would like to ask from the application form, we will go into breakaway rooms now, and then we can just help you through those questions. So that is it from myself. I am Tarisiro. I've been your host, and we'll see you soon. We will be hosting another application workshop on the 26th of May. I will include that information as well in the email to follow. So thank you so much. Have a good day further. If you would like to stay on for the breakaway sessions for specific Q&As, you are welcome to stay in touch. You're welcome to stay, welcome to stay in the session here, and then also keep an eye out on the SA Innovation Summit pages, on the ABH pages as well, to keep an eye out for more support clinics. There will be a French version for those of you that are for our French speakers. You will be able to catch those as well. So keep an eye out on all our social media pages, and we will speak to you soon. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you so much, Tori.
Okay, great. I see we have a few that have stayed with us. Not sure. Do you want us to go into a breakaway, Buntu? I think it's
maybe we considering
5. It's about 5.
Yeah, maybe we can stay in the main room. Happy with that, my side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure thing. So those of you that are still with us, any specific questions within the application form that you need assistance with, this is your time now that we can kind of delve into those and kind of give you pointers and support them. So you're welcome to unmute, raise your hand, and ask away.
Hi.
Hi, Farana.
Hi, not sure if you can see me. I wasn't planning on putting the camera on, so I'm sitting in my dining room.
No, it's okay.
I definitely do want to apply. I've applied last year unsuccessfully, but I intend applying this year. The videos, that's the part, I don't think you've really touched on that, have you? Or have I missed that part of it?
Not today.
Hi.
Hi, Parana. We didn't touch on the videos today. Which part of it would you like to cover?
Okay, so what would make it the most effective video? I mean, should I get someone to do it professionally? Does it matter? Is that what makes a difference? I'm useless at social media and even more useless at being in front of a camera. So what would you suggest?
You're doing a great job right now. What you're actually doing right now is perfect. So we want to stay away from high production, editing, and so on. The idea is that it's as authentic as possible. And so there's a video where you are introducing yourself, and then there's videos where we get a third-hand perspective from a customer, as well as an employee. And so the idea is that you can use your computer like this, or you can use your phone. The most important thing is that it aligns with everything that has been said, and in terms of in your application, and that you stick to the time. So, you know, it's not going to be a 5-minute video or a 7-minute video, but just stick to the minute that you're given, and a little bit under this, but not too short, so that you can make the most of it. And the real, I think the real value is in getting a better sense of the energy of the environment, of the authenticity, making it feel real. If it's in your offices, that's fantastic. If it's out in the field where you work in terms of your customers and in the community, that's perfect. If it is with your team around you, that's also fine. But you know, because this then shows the type of ways that you interact with your team members, the way that your energy is. If it's with your co-founders, that's also perfectly fine, but you would then be the one that's speaking, the one that's applying. And so I think the point is to think about what type of energy do you want to send across? What do you want to emphasize in terms of the values, the mission, and the vision that you've stated, and your purpose? And then you want to be as authentic as possible.
Okay, we'll try. I must admit, your presentation has made a huge difference, and I see the many gaps in my previous application. So thank you for that. I've taken lots of notes, but I'm looking forward to the recording and the slideshow. I don't think I took enough notes down. So thank you. I'm looking forward to the application. Who would you recommend, or what would you recommend I get, or who do I get to actually check my application before I submit? You know, would it be someone from the innovation side? Would it be?
It's a very good point. Unfortunately, as ABH affiliates and ABH team as well, you know, we aren't in a position to be able to provide that kind of support. But there are previous finalists, like, you know, the top 20, top 10, top 50. They listed on the website. Those might be people that you can reach out to on LinkedIn. There's mentors as well on the website. You might reach out to them if you don't know them already. There's your own mentors that you might be working with. I think your team might be a good resource to leverage on in terms of reviewing, because you're working with them day to day. They can bring in their perspective. Your customers might be able to do this, and even business advisors that you perhaps are working with. I think the more review you get, the better. But at the end of the day, you would be the one that is filtering through the noise and connecting to what's authentic for you. I think this is the keys, that the authenticity will come across, because the judges themselves, highly experienced business individuals, and they know various markets, and they know what it takes. And so they will see the authenticity come across if you're able to connect all the advice to what the true work and passion that you're doing.
The last question. I am registered, my company is registered in 2018. During the time we've been fundraising for tooling and injection molding and patenting and a lot, all of it is done, but we've only actually got an income going from, we launched on World Literacy Day last year. Okay, so we joined forces with Nelson Mandela Children's Fund and Old Mutual and launched on World Literacy Day, which was only last year. So I don't have 3 years of financials, but the company is registered in 2018. Would we still qualify to apply or not? Meaning it's quite a lengthy application and I wouldn't want to do it for fun. I mean, I just want to know at the outset, do we qualify at all? Or should I wait till we have 3 years of revenue?
It's a perfect and valid question. Congratulations on the progress that you've made and the patents and the fundraising. Really, congratulations on that. Wishing you all the best. Unfortunately, for the ABH competition, revenue is a key indicator as part of the minimum requirements. So automatically, if you haven't had 3 years of revenue and you input this, of course, it will be audited later, it will automatically be removed from the system. In this case, I would advise that you do work on the application such that you may prepare for the future when you are ready. And you can do this at your own pace, but certainly noting that you would not be able to qualify based on those bank statements.
Okay, no, thanks for that. Just wanted to know. Money has come in, but it's not been through sales, in the sense that it's been loans, it's been grants, it's been all of that to just generate, to get the business up and going. So it hasn't been sales as such until last year, until we got to produce.
Yes. So you're saying that your accounting statements show more than 3 years of revenue in the revenue line item, of course, broken down as funding and grants and so on. But your sales line item was only from last year.
Yes.
So in this case, I think, Tahira, we might have to double check here with the auditors, but the financial statements will show 3 years of revenue is what you're saying, which in that case has, and because of the style of your business, you can't immediately go into sales. That's different industries are different and so on. And so there might be an arguable case here that when you are being audited, that revenue is being counted as revenue, and it's all older than 3 years. Tahira, are we able to check with the auditors? Do we have a case like that we can refer to, or and come back to Farana on, or that you know of top of mind?
Top of mind, I don't know of a case, but our previous requirement, which we just changed this year, was you had to be registered for 3 years, because usually, like, the main thing about the revenue, the registration is, are you tax compliant? So when the auditor checks, there's nothing to hide. And the easiest way to tell is if you are, registered, you are generally tax compliant. So you should be eligible, but I would suggest send an email to the info, and then we can just double check it with our side, because we do understand it is quite a lengthy application. And while it is beneficial for your business, there's no need to sort of rush it, as Buntu said, if you wouldn't be eligible. But I think since you've been registered for 4 years and you have been getting money in, even although it's not specifically sales, you should be eligible to apply. But just send us an email so we can double, triple confirm for you.
Okay, who do I send the mail to?
Just to info@africabusinessheroes.org.
Okay, I will do that. All right.
Glad to hear it, and hope that it will be on the affirmative. All the best.
I'm hoping so too. It's just that as much as it hasn't had sales, there's been a hell of a lot of work done in the background to get to the point of production. It's been insane, and I've done all of it on my own with minimal funding, and come to a point where we're actually producing and it's out there and the kids in the rural areas have it. So I think great achievement. The 3-4 years has been worth it, but it doesn't show in the books, you know. Thank you. Thanks. All right, thank you for this. I will definitely send a video, an email shortly.
Thanks so much, Verona. We look forward to receiving that email, and hopefully we can give you a positive response as well on that. Anyone else have got any specific questions about the application process, or a specific question within the application, or anything that Buntu touched on today? Anyone? No, doesn't look like it. So then I suppose we'll call it a day here. So please remember that we are available over email, over WhatsApp, over phone call as well. You can get in touch with us if you need any help. There's also a chatbot on the application page as well. If you need any help, we are here to help you through the process. I will email the presentation shortly, and the link to the application form. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to Buntu for taking us through the application form and giving us the guidelines, and to hear as well from ABH and to the team in the back. Thank you so much. Have a good day further.